Shuckalugga kapow. How's it going, old schoolers? You're kicking it old school with Russell J.S., and I am your host, Russell J.S. Today on Kicking It Old School, I'm going to go over. I don't have too much for this video because I got to go get ready. I'm going to the movies to go see the new Spinal Tap movie, Spinal Tap 2, The End Continues, because I am a big, huge Spinal Tap fan. But this video, I want to go over my top 10 favorite movies of the 1990s. And I got to tell you, it was a hard decision to make on which are my top 10 favorites. These are movies that I've watched millions of, probably thousands of times over. I can't even count on both my hands and feet and, all my teeth. But these were my top. I mean, the 1990s, it had a surge in some great cinema and great movies. I mean, I know what you're saying, but JS, you did a while back a video series called the Cinematic 90s. That's true, but you know what? I want to go over my top 10 favorite all-time movies of the 1990s. I mean, we all have a top 10 list from that decade. I mean, some of you, a couple of your top 10 favorites may be Back to the Future Part 3, Jurassic Park, Dick Tracy, Gremlins 2. Who knows what your favorite movies of the 90s were? They were your favorites, and that's all that matters. But I want to go over, and remember, if you're new to the channel, feel free to hit a like, subscribe, leave comments down in the box below, ring the bell for notifications, for future videos to come up. And these are going to be my top 10 favorites. I mean, one of them I borrowed out of the library because indeed have, hold on a sec, I'll be right there. All right, I'm back. I had to find one of the other DVD movies, the one that I got out at the library. The reason I got it out of the library is I already have it on disc, but I got it in one of those franchise gift packs that you would find like at Walmart or Target. But without any further delay, let's get this countdown a-rolling, shall we? With all these bad Oscars. Number 10 on my list is Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. The reason why it's at number 10 is because, yes, I am a huge Star Wars fan. And, I didn't care. I mean, it was rich in story. I mean, some of you will say, oh, but it's better than the prequels. It's better than the sequel trilogy, which I'm going to do the sequel trilogy I did the sequel trilogy. I did a review how I felt about the Disney Star Wars movies. But the big issue I had here, this is supposed to be the very beginning. This is long before Luke Skywalker was ever conceived and Princess Leia. And, it features Anakin Skywalker as a young boy, not knowing the destiny he's about to take, which will bring him down to a dark path later in life. It was cool to see Obi-Wan Kenobi as a young Jedi apprentice, and they added new characters. But the biggest problem I had with this movie, even though I enjoyed it, the only problem I had was, just like the other prequel movies, it was saturated and fattened with CGI. Other than that, they had a great cast, with Liam Neeson, Ewan McGregor, Ian McDiarmid returning as Palpatine when Palpatine was a senator turned chancellor, and the late, great Terrence Stapp as Chancellor Valorum. And, of course, they put Samuel L. Jackson in there. I mean, let's see how good Samuel L. Jackson can be in a family-oriented movie, right? Especially a Star Wars movie, no less. But I didn't like the fact that they fattened this up with CGI. But then again, they did take the original trilogy with the special edition, added enhanced features and special effects and deleted scenes and whatnot. So that way it could coincide with the soon-to-come prequel trilogy. Other than that, it is a decent flick to watch. It's one of my favorites of the 1990s, as a matter of fact. I think it was probably the last great movie of 1999. There were others. Austin Powers, A Spy Who Shagged Me, and Detroit Rock City. But all in all, this was the big one of 1999. In number 9 slot, Dazed and Confused, what takes place in the summer of 76 in Texas. All the teenagers of high school all getting together. It's the last day of school and they want to celebrate. They're going to become seniors. Some are going to become freshmen. I mean, this movie helped catapult the careers of such big name stars as Ben Affleck and Matthew McConaughey. And all the stoners, the jocks, the cheerleaders, the freshmen all get together for one big crazy party. It was dubbed American Graffiti of the 1990s. Well, I could say American Graffiti of the 1990s, maybe on acid and weed. But this is a good flick to pick up. You know, it's independently directed, and you know, it has a great soundtrack of great 70s rock such as Kiss, Black Sabbath, Ted Nugent, ZZ Top, and Lynyrd Skynyrd. If you've never seen this before, pick this up and pick up the soundtrack. I mean, sure, the soundtrack would be more like a compilation of 70s rock like you would find in the bargain bin at Walmart. And number 8 on my list. Oh, this was a grand. I mean, this was one of the biggest movies of 1994. They did great effects with it. You know, long before CGI they didn't even add CGI to it. It was because the actor died while filming the movie, accidentally shot. The Crow, starring Brandon Lee, about a dead musician who comes back a year after his death to avenge the wrongful killings of him and his fiancée when they were about to get married the day after they were killed. And the thing was, Brandon Lee was shot by what was supposed to be a dummy bullet, you know, a blank. But he was shot in the abdomen and he died. He died during the, you know, upon arrival at the hospital. But they did a brilliant job on making it look like he was still in the movie, because there's some scenes where you could tell it's not him, and others you could tell it is him. And they used very little CGI to make this movie to keep him alive for the time being. And again, another movie with a really great soundtrack with Stone Temple Pilots, 9 Inch Nails, Pantera, Rollins Band, Helmet. This is a must-see, a 90s must-see. And, you know, a lot of these movies I'm showing you right now, if you're a gapper between the millennials and the Gen Zs, ask your mom and dad about this movie. You know, it is killer. It is awesome. I mean, it's got an ensemble. It's got a good cast with David Patrick Kelly. You know, with a supporting cast, David Patrick Kelly and Ernie Hudson and Rochelle Davis. Good. I mean, worth your while to watch. I can remember when this came out, when I was a freshman in high school, we all opted to go see this movie. But a good lot of us were too young to watch it alone without parents. It used to be where you could go ahead and your parent can walk you into the auditorium and leave you there. You know, if they okayed you to go see an R-rated movie. But those days by 1994 were long gone. So that's number 8 on the list. Number 7 on my list, we're going into Kevin Smith territory. His directorial debut, Clerks. Now, this movie catapulted the career of Kevin Smith. He wrote, directed, co-produced, and starred in it. He was Silent Bob, you know, of the duo Jay and Silent Bob. Stars Brian O'Halloran, Jeff Anderson, Lisa Spoonhour, and Jason Mewes, about 2 slackers working at a strip of stores. One works at a convenience store, the other works at a video store. And it was shot in black and white because at the time Kevin Smith was working at actually both those stores in real life. to pay for his way through film school. And he was only able to afford black and white film stock. And this movie became an instant classic, a cult classic. And, it's a very relatable story if, you sat around in your 20s contemplating life while you worked a lousy job that you hated, but yet you still kept going back to it like, oh, there's nothing else out there for me. But yeah, Clerks, that's number 7 on my list. Good movie to watch. Check that out. Number 6 on my list, Airheads, starring Brendan Fraser, Steve Buscemi, and Adam Sandler. At the time, Adam Sandler still had a career at Saturday Night Live, and he was starting to branch out with movies. Brendan Fraser was already a big star with such movies as School Ties and Encino Man. And Steve Buscemi, he was already somewhat an established actor, but but you could see him in just about almost every other Adam Sandler movie there is. This movie, it's about a rock band that is having a hard time trying to get their demo out to record deals so they become rock stars. So the writers, I guess, inspired by Dog Day Afternoon, they just decided they're going to break in the radio station, hold it hostage with plastic water guns that look real. I guess that's why they give toy guns fluorescent colors these days, filled with pepper sauce, just to get their demo played on the air, and all kinds of shenanigans with the police and the local music crowd. It's just a silly movie. I mean, pick this one up again, another one with a great soundtrack featuring Motorhead, Four Non Blondes, the Ramones, Anthrax, and of course the band named in the movie, the Lone Rangers. Pick this up. It is a fun, classic movie for anybody that's a heavy metal fan. All right, number 5 on my list. We are getting to where we're in Chris Farley territory. Chris Farley even Chris Farley, like Adam Sandler, was starting to branch out from Saturday Night Live to go to film. To me, this is his best movie, especially with David Spade. I mean, I was able to picture these two being the next comedy duo like John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd, or Martin and Lewis, or Abbott and Costello, or Laurel and Hardy. The tradition, the slender guy and the big, burly guy. 1995's Tommy Boy, about a college slacker who has to take over his father's auto parts business and go across the country. These two run into all kinds of shenanigans, and then what happens is they learn how to get along with each other, and they actually do become friends. This movie is the biggest classic hit that Chris Farley has to his short repertoire of movies. As a matter of fact, I like to think of this movie as, what Animal House was for John Belushi, Tommy Boy is for Chris Farley. I remember when I went to see this at the theater. A few months prior, I saw Dumb and Dumber with Jim Carrey, and I laughed hard. I saw this at the theater, I laughed harder. I actually believe that this movie was funnier than Dumb and Dumber. And number 4 on my list is an 18-year-long awaited sequel. We didn't think we were going to get this sequel due to the fact that the main star of the original classic had passed away 16 years prior. But its other big star and writer decided, because he was going on the road with the original star's brother and another actor, taking the classic act, and it's very underrated. I've made a review of this movie before on a video, and it's one of my favorite movies of the 1990s. Though I was too young to go to the theater to see the original, I got to see the sequel 18 years later. 1998's Blues Brothers 2000, starring Dan Aykroyd, John Goodman, and Joe Morton. And what happens is, I'm not going to go into detail, but you know the routine. Jake had died, and Elwood wants to still form the band anyway. And just like in the original, they get into more shenanigans with the police and hate groups and you know everything in between. And it's sad that this movie had a short life at the movie theater. I was working at a movie theater at the time this came out. We were a sub-run movie theater, which meant when we would get the Hollywood blockbusters, we wouldn't get them, like the summer blockbusters, we wouldn't get them till the tail end of summer, just when they were getting ready to come out to video. But I remember when this came out, we had, oh, that's another phone ringing. Don't worry about that. Ignore it. But what happened? Yeah, my father left his phone. So let's go ahead and pretend that's not going. But I went to go see this at the regular movie theater, and then about a couple weeks later, it actually came to my theater so quick. We only had it for about a week, and it was gone. I mean, well, back in 1998, nothing could surpass Titanic, even The Wedding Singer. But yeah, Blues Brothers 2000, it is worth the watch. Pick that up if you get a chance. What the heck? You know what I'm going to do? Hold on a sec. Yeah, it was funny. My father left his phone behind. That was actually his alarm going off. But yeah, back to what I was saying. This is definitely worth the watch. And again, it has a good soundtrack album with a lot of, not just the Blues Brothers music, but a lot of R&B greats, perform on it, like James Brown and Aretha Franklin and a lot of good ones. So pick this up. Number 3 on my list. This movie, despite the fact that Val Kilmer had already made his mark in cinema, being Iceman and Top Gun, and I forgot the name of the character from Willow he was, but it's what was great about this movie is he played the part with a lot of heart. Hey, I'm a poet and don't even know it. Anyway, it's a kind of somewhat fictional, non-fictional. I mean, it's just based on sources about what was going on in the career of the band. It was one of the greatest rock bands ever to come out of the 60s since the Beatles. And Val Kilmer had, at the time he brought 2 tapes with him, 2 recording tapes with him to director Oliver Stone, one being his band and one being the original band. And Oliver Stone couldn't tell who was who. And Oliver Stone said, "Yeah, that's them." And Val Kilmer said, "No, actually, it's me." And he automatically got the part because Val Kilmer was not only was he a huge fan of them, but he actually fronted a tribute band to them. 1991's The Doors, with a great cast with Val Kilmer as Jim Morrison, Meg Ryan is in it, Billy Idol, and as the surviving members of The Doors, you had Kyle MacLachlan as Ray Manzarek, you had Kevin Dillon as John Densmore, and Frank Whaley as Robbie Krieger, Michael Wincott. I mean, a great cast, great storytelling, great direction by Oliver Stone. And the soundtrack album is pretty much a small best of Doors compilation, but it's a really great soundtrack album to own. I have it on CD. This is another great movie to see. If you haven't seen it, you want to see, if you're a hard rock fan and you're a fan of 60s psychedelic rock, pick this bad Oscar up. It is filmed really well. I mean, it almost looks like to me a documentary on the Doors. I remember when I first saw this as a teenager. I mean, I couldn't suspend disbelief. Val Kilmer looked just like Jim Morrison, the whole 9 yards. So this is another one that's worth the watch. Pick this one up. Number 2 on my list is a sequel to a classic goofy comedy, campy comedy, about a heavy metal surfer dude duo. If you remember the first movie, they traveled through time to pick up famous historical figures to pass a history report to graduate high school. Well, in this one, they're about ready to go into the Battle of the Bands, but 2 evil robots from the future that, look just like them, kill them, and they're on a journey through the afterlife, through heaven and hell, to get their lives back in order and save the world. Number 2 on my list is Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. I mean, this is one of those movies where, for me, the first one was great, but the second movie was actually better. And if you remember, I did a video where I reviewed the trailer a few years back for Bill and Ted Face the Music and how astonished I was. Well, when we still had the when we still had the red box dispensers in front of the stores, I went ahead and I rented it on the red box. I thought it was awful. I mean, Keanu Reeves looks as if he doesn't want to be there. I mean, Alex Winter, who plays Bill, he was enthusiastic, but Keanu Reeves not so much. It was as if it wasn't fun for him anymore. But this is another movie you want to get, Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. I mean, if you want to, go ahead and watch Face the Music. I don't recommend it. I thought it was dumb. I thought it was corny and stupid. I mean, I don't even own it in my DVD collection, so this is where a trilogy does not get complete. As far as I'm concerned, that movie doesn't exist. But check this bad Oscar out. I mean, it's a fun thrill ride. And number 1 on the list, oh boy, this is a movie that, yeah, sure, 12 years prior, The Blues Brothers was probably the first movie ever based off a Saturday Night Live sketch. But this one, 12 years later, would help catapult the SNL-based movies. I'm talking Mike Myers and Dana Carvey. Excellent. Wayne's World, party time. Yes, this right here. I mean, this movie, it's about Wayne and Garth having their public access cable show, like on Saturday Night Live down in Wayne's parents' basement in Aurora, Illinois. And they actually score a deal to go to regular national television, but it's a case of, like egos clash and everything like that. They get money and the fame gets to them. Well, it gets to Wayne. You get a special performance by Alice Cooper, and you get a cast like Ed O'Neill, a.k.a. Al Bundy, Brian Doyle Murray, Rob Lowe, Tia Carrere in her prime. Yeah. And, don't get me wrong, I still think Tia Carrere is really cute. But man, I saw that movie at the theater in 1992. I saw it 3 times, okay? I mean, it was probably the funniest movie of the 1990s for that period. The funniest 90s movie since Home Alone. It's got a soundtrack of artists with newer songs and classic rock songs, like mainly, you got Cinderella doing a song called Hot and Bothered, which is 1 out of 3 Cinderella songs I like. And believe it or not, the 2 other Cinderella songs I like are ballads, Nobody's Fool and Don't Know What You Got Till It's Gone. Other than that, Hot and Bothered, and the Bullet Boys do a cover of Montrose's Rock Candy. Black Sabbath at the time had a new song out called Time Machine for Dehumanizer, and Alice Cooper with the famous Feed My Frankenstein. So there you have it. Those are my top 10 favorite movies of the 1990s. Tell me what your top 10 movies of the 1990s are. I'd like to know. I mean, like I said, this was hard to do because there's so many great movies. I mean, Jurassic Park, Die Hard 2, Dick Tracy, Home Alone, You know, what else was there? Encino Man. I mean, Mallrats. There were a lot of great movies that came out of the 1990s, but I had to really get down and pick only 10 of my favorites. And you know what? I'm going to make a video soon of what my top 10 favorite 80s movies are, and then I'm going to do my favorite 70s movies and 2000s. Now, I got to go ahead and I got to get in the shower. I got to get dressed and I got to get ready to go to the movies. So remember, keep it real, keep it fresh, keep it chill, keep kicking it old school. Keep watching old school movies like these. You know, listen to old school music. Watch old school TV shows, play some Atari, play some Nintendo, play some in television, Commodore 64, ColecoVision, Odyssey, whatever gaming console your heart's desire. Get you enough of love, get you enough of peace, get you enough of less drama, no drama, get you enough of less chaos, no chaos. Keep it real, keep it fresh. Godspeed. May the force be with you always, and shuckalaka kapow.